What is gap insurance and do I need it? So that's the question today, and that's what we're going to be talking about right now. It's McNeil from Louison Automotive, and if you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe, share with at least one friend so we can spread the word and keep growing this channel. So gap insurance, what is it and do I need it? First, we're going to explain what gap insurance does, and then you would be able to understand if it's something that you need, and I would try to tell you based on your situation if you should get it or not. So what gap insurance does, or what it is for, it pays a negative equity on your car loan. So let's say, for example, you'd buy a car for $10,000. So you buy that car for $10,000, but you had to pay interest if you financed it. You had to pay your provincial taxes on that vehicle. What eventually happens to that car loan is that it's called overbook in the industry. So when it's overbook, it means you're owing the bank more money than your car is worth. So that $10,000 car possibly can end up being a $14,000 loan after taxes and fees and all that stuff. Okay, so if you were in an accident and if the accident's a year later, so the car also depreciated, and the insurance does an assessment on the car and say, oh, dear Mr. Customer, I could only pay you $8,000 because that's what your car is worth today. Your car is worth $8,000 today. Now that $14,000 loan, you probably paid it down a little bit already. So let's assume that you're down at $12,000. Okay, so $12,000 you owing on that vehicle. The bank, the insurance gives you an $8,000 check. Who's gonna pay for the rest of that loan? You had insurance on your car, you have an accident, and now you're gonna get a check for $8,000 and you owing $12,000, right? So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Who's paying you the $4,000? You know, so if you don't have gap insurance, the answer is you. You don't want to gonna have to pay that $4,000 because the bank doesn't care that your insurance didn't pay enough money. They know they gave you a loan and they want the balance of that money. You got to pay that loan out. So if you had gap insurance would cover that negative equity. So you'd be nothing out of pocket. So whatever the loan balance is that your insurance company didn't cover, because the insurance company have absolutely no interest in what you are owing your bank. All they care about at the time of incident is how much your car is worth at that time, because it could work the other way around, where the insurance could have given you the $8,000 check, but you had a massive deposit on the car and you only owing $5,000 on the car. So which means you would end up with some money in your pocket after the insurance paid you your money. So in that case, you would not need gap insurance. So now that we kind of understand gap insurance, so basically to summarize this, what gap insurance is, it pays a negative equity. So based on what your car is worth, based on what you own on the car, there's a difference sometimes in between there, and it would cover that difference. So in what situation will you need gap insurance? If you buy a car and you have really bad credit, which if you watch this video, I clearly advise not to buy a car if you have bad credit. But if you really need one, you absolutely would have to take a gap insurance, because your interest rate is going to be so high, you 100%, even if you were to put 10%, 20% down on that car, I bet you're still going to have negative equity in that car because of the interest and fees that you're going to accumulate on that vehicle. So you definitely would need to have gap insurance. And out of all of the shit that dealers sell you, that is the one thing that can actually protect you. The gap insurance is something that you absolutely should buy. I can't say it enough. Okay, maybe I would make a video eventually about the dumb shit that dealers sell you that you shouldn't buy, but the gap insurance is something that you would need. Now if you're buying a new car and you put less than 20% down on that new car, they have all these promotions, zero down and all that stuff, it's still probably a good idea to have gap insurance if you have no intention, if you're just paying the same minimum payment on that car loan. If you plan on paying out some massive payments within the first year or so, you can take that risk. But for the most part, if you buy a brand new car and you didn't put at least 20% down on that car, the car depreciates so quickly right after you take it off the lot. If you had an accident within the first year or so, you definitely need gap insurance, unless you have a really good insurance company. Some insurance companies, when your car is brand new, at least a year old, if you have that incident, within the year of ownership, they will still replace your car with another brand new car. So even if there was negative equity, the insurance company should just give you, period, a new car again, right? But for most cases, you would need the gap insurance if you're buying a new car with less than 20%. When would you not need gap insurance? You don't need gap insurance, obviously, if you buy your car cash. If you were to put at least 50% down on the car, but 50% depends on the situation. 50% if you were to have good credit and you don't have a crazy interest rate where the interest rate surpasses the value of the car as well, right? So you would need gap insurance. You would not need gap insurance in that case. If you put 50% down and you have a ridiculous 30% interest rate, it does exist. 30% interest rate, you probably would still want to consider gap insurance because that interest is so high, it might still come to the value of that car, okay? So you have to do the math yourself. When at the time of signing those contracts, you got to figure out what your loan amount is, okay, and what the value of that car is. Now, if you with any normal finance company, you should know in the next 2 years, maybe if you were to do a buyout, what the buyout would be about that time. And if that buyout amount is still over the value of the car, you definitely need gap insurance, okay? I think we covered most of the main points here, and you know, again, let's be smart with our money, okay? Thanks for watching.